An abbreviated history of dentistry. Dentistry in the ancient civilizations. The earliest traces of dentistry can be found in the Indus Valley civilization. From 7000 to 5000 years before Christ, teeth were found to have holes clearly made by dental drills. Those which we can see on this picture. Those holes were usually encrusted with the use of various precious materials such as gold or silver. Also, a Sumerian text belonging to the same period talked about the idea of tooth forms being the source of dental decay. Supposedly those tooth forms were eating away at the enamel of the teeth, causing the holes to appear. This continued to be considered true until it was disproven in the 18th century. Dentistry in the early Middle Ages. The most prominent and important work in the field of medicine during the early Middle Ages was written by the prominent Andalusian physician Al-Zakhrawi and was called Kitab al-Tasrif. Here we can see a frontispiece of the Latin translation of Al-Zakhrawi's work. In Kitab al-Tasrif, Al-Zakhrawi describes various aspects of medicine, surgery, childbirth, dentistry, orthopedics, as well as describes various surgical and dental instruments and materials using during that time. Barber surgeons. Around the 13th century, the first professional dental specialists began to emerge. Those practitioners were known as barber surgeons, which is the reason for the well-known modern-day tricolor design of barber poles. The red, blue and white colors of the barber pole represent blood, the dark color of the veins, and the bandages used to stop bleeding respectively. The barber surgeons were known for the alarming methods of the dental treatment, which included bleeding, leeches, pulling the teeth using pliers, and many more. But luckily, by the mid-16th century, dentistry has developed considerably with detailed analysis on dental hygiene, gold fillings, tooth decay, broken jaw, and other practical methodics, which led to the abandonment of the old methodics used by the barber surgeons. Pierre Fauchat. Pierre Fauchat was the father of modern dentistry. His book, The Surgeon Dentist, a Treatise on Teeth, was published in 1723. Here we can see the Pierre Fauchat with his work. In his publication, he introduced the concept of dental fillings and dental prosthetics, as well as identified acids from sugar as the cause of tooth decay. Also, here we can see a diagram made by Dr. Fauchat in his book where he shows the procedure involved in dental construction, and here we can see the dental needle nose pliers designed by him in the late 17th century. First regulated dental organizations. In the 1840s, the first regulated dental institution was born. It was the Baltimore College of Dental Surgery, which we can see on this picture. It opened with the vision of more regulation and oversight in the field of dentistry. A year later, the first Dental Practice Act in the world was enacted in the state of Alabama. About 20 years later, the American Dental Association, or ADA, came to fruition. A few years later from that, in the 1870s, the first mass-produced toothpaste and toothbrushes came from Colgate. This venture was obviously very successful for Little Soap, Starch and Candle Company, as the brand still exists today. But despite that, the daily dental care became common only in the 20th century. Also interestingly, the first toothpaste was actually a tooth powder. And here we can see an example of such tooth powders. In conclusion, I want to say that from the Renaissance period, dentistry continued to develop and still does, and while the entire history of dentistry cannot be summarized in such a brief presentation, I have tried to cover some of the most important milestones with. Here are the sources, and thank you for your